I just spent a day with Ed Mylett at his home in Florida, and in this video I'm going to break down some of the most powerful insights that I took away from it. And it was a pretty powerful experience because I think he's worth I think he said like $800 million. He's the #1 speaker in the world. He's got one of the biggest podcasts in the world, and I've been listening to his stuff for like 5 years now. And so to see it come to fruition and to actually meet him in person, shake his hand, be like, oh, I know you. Because before I went there, I had to fill out like a questionnaire with some information and stuff like that. And so like he did his research. And so it was pretty crazy. And I'll tell you one thing before we get into it. This was going to be a pretty heavy one today. So make sure you got your notes. But I've got this selfie stick tripod here, and I've got my journal. So I'll be ripping through a bunch of my biggest takeaways, kind of just one by one, because I really want to help you experience what I was able to experience, because it was extremely powerful. It impacted my life. And I want the same for you. But it was pretty crazy when I was just sitting there on his couch in his living room, and he was standing right in front of me and talking. I remember I just look over, I look out at the ocean, there's the infinity pool, and just a stunning house. I think somebody said it was literally the most expensive house on this, in this place in Florida. And I remember just looking out there and then looking back at it, I was like, how the fuck did I end up here? And it's pretty crazy. And the crazy part too is that I've been listening to him for 5 years, and he was on my vision board 2-3 years ago. And I remember, this is my vision board here. I have it all printed out. And I look at it multiple times every single day. But Ed was on my vision board, and I said, one day I'm gonna meet Ed. I don't know how, I don't know when. And it was crazy to see that come to fruition. Every single person I put on there, it all starts coming true. There's the Urus, I got that. The event tour is coming next. That's a topic for another time. But moving forward, the thing I want you to take away from that is that whatever we set out, whatever intention we set out, whatever we visualize will come to fruition. So you have to be very, very careful with what you put out into the world, with what thoughts you choose to hold, with what beliefs you choose to hold, and with what intention you choose to put out. And it was very interesting too, because 80% of what Ed talked about, I think I was there from 10 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. So it was 8.5 hours. And he was just teaching stuff that he said he's never taught before. It was crazy. But 80% of what he talked about was all about visualization and dreaming and how our minds work. He went into the science behind it all as well. And it was very impactful. So like I said, it's gonna be a heavy one today. So buckle up, grab your notebook. I've got mine. I'll be referring to this pretty often as well, because I just want to make sure that I give you the most powerful insights in the best way possible. Now, I'm still kind of processing everything because there was a lot. There's a firehouse of information, and I'm sure I'll make some more videos down the road as well, as I start actually implementing stuff and seeing the results and the outcomes of this. But I just wanted to get a bit of a snapshot here and share with you what I was able to learn. So that said, let's get right into it. So one of my biggest takeaways is that I'm not dreaming big enough, often enough, and specific enough. So I thought I was really good at visualization because I got my vision board here. I look at it 30 times a day, and I've got a printout as well. I think in my free course on School, there should be a link in the description to request to join. But I'm pretty sure I got my mindset training in there that goes over the vision board. It's the same one that I learned from a Sam Ovens course 5 years ago. It was incredible, life-changing stuff, crazy. And so I thought I was good at visualization until I met Ed. And listening to him tell a story about that was absolutely insane. So he was a really good baseball player in high school, and he went to, I'm pretty sure it was a Division I team in college, and he got humbled. I think his first year there, he said he was batting 212, which is not good, right? And Anyways, he got injured. He got a pitch to the calf, and it took him out. And I think he had like it uncovered something else that was there too, like a tumor or something like that. Long story short, he was in a full leg cast for a while. And what's actually crazy too is I had a full leg cast when I was in kindergarten, when I was like 5. I like briefly remember it. I just remember it was full leg from like my hips to my ankle, and it was blue. And yeah, anyways, so interesting coincidence there. But nonetheless, he was in a full leg cast, so he couldn't play. And he was working with the team psychologist, and he was the only one on, like, the only team member that was injured. And so they were just working one-on-one together. And right after he got the cast on or whatever happened, the psychologist said, "Hey, Ed, show up to batting practice tomorrow." He said, "But I can't hit." He's like, "Show up. I'll see you there." All right. And while all of his other teammates were getting actual pitches, balls coming through, and they were swinging, he was sitting there visualizing in his mind. So they're hitting it, it's going to the left, it's going to the right, going down the middle, it's going behind them, they're missing it, right? They're getting real life feedback. And all Ed was doing was playing this mental movie in his head for 6 months. I think it was like a whole season that he missed out on. And what was crazy is that at the end of the season, by the next season, I think he was hitting 340 or like 380. He went from 212 to 340 to 380 in one season without hitting a single ball. Where all his other teammates were hitting balls, they were playing games, and they were going through the motions. He didn't touch a single baseball. And he went from like horrible player to like one of the best. And I'm gonna share with you how he did that. So what they would do at visualization, at batting practice, they would visualize, right? So his psychologist, the coach, would tell him, "All right, Ed, go into, like, close your eyes and picture yourself like at the home base or at the home plate waiting for a pitch." And so he'd close his eyes, be like, "All right." And he'd wait for that pitch. And then it would come and he'd hit it. And he said, "All right, where'd it go?" He's like, "Wherever," right? He's like, "Okay, now what I want you to do is visualize yourself hitting a line drive right down the middle." All right, close his eyes, boom, line drive right down the middle. And then do that. I think they did that for a few days, right? And each iteration I'm gonna share with you is like he would like really do it and get really, really good at this one specific thing for like a week or so. And then next week they would like iterate it a little bit. But anyways, so then they come back to it right after he's visualizing himself hitting a line drive right down the middle. And then his coach would be like, "All right, now where was the camera angle? Was it first person, like from your eyes hitting it? Was it from behind center plate? Was it from the outfield?" And he's like, "It was from first person. Like, it was me standing there, seeing the pitch come down and hit it." And then his coach was like, "All right, now change the camera angle. Play with this visualization in your mind, manipulate it. Change the camera angle so that you're seeing that pitch come at you from the outfield. So you see yourself down there, and you see, like, you're up here and you see the pitch coming." And they said, "Okay, now do it from like behind you, from behind center plate, as if you're like the umpire, and like manipulate the camera angle in your visualization to just make it more specific and more real." And what was really interesting, before we get back to this, is that throughout the day, Ed kept playing clips on his TV from The Matrix. And one of the biggest things, I'm gonna rewatch The Matrix tonight. It's an incredible movie. One of my favorites. I haven't watched it for a while though. But one of the powerful things was you have to learn to let go of the box that society's put you in. And the box meaning the belief systems that you hold about what's true about the world. You have to let go of that. You have to think outside the box. Like, think about it like growing up. It's like when you're learning to draw as a kid. What do they tell you in school? Draw what? Within the lines. Draw between the lines, right? He's like, you have to draw outside of the lines. You have to go outside. You have to be willing to push that and not confine yourself and your beliefs inside that box. So with the visualization technique, you have to manipulate the visualization, the mental movie that you play in your head over and over and over. And you have to make it very, very specific. So I've done this again. I thought I was good at visualization until you walked us through this, and like I'll really get into it in a sec. But I would visualize me sitting, like getting into a Lamborghini Urus, matte black murder out, starting it up, and just feeling that roar of the cold start. And then that came true. I visualized a condo exactly like this, floor to ceiling windows, incredible view from my office. And this might not be the best, like the most flattering view, but like that angle, that goes hard, right? My bedroom's got the same angle as well, and it's pretty crazy. But I visualized myself in this day in, day out. And it's crazy that like what you set your intention to, what you set your mind to will come true. So be very, very careful what you visualize. And Ed said this as well. He said, we're already extremely good at visualizing and manifesting things. We just do it in the wrong way with worry, right? When we're worried about something, when we have anxiety about something, right? We're worried about what all of the different angles, all the different scenarios that could go wrong. We think about that, we visualize that. And guess what? It usually becomes right because our minds work to prove our beliefs true. So we can get into the nitty gritty here about how the reticular activating system works in our mind and how it seeks out information and uses your beliefs as a filter to see the world. So the world isn't as it is, it's how we perceive it. And the beliefs that we choose to hold are the filter in which we perceive the world. I know we're getting pretty deep and heavy into it right now, but I trust that you're with me. I'm trying to simplify this really well. So for example, it's like when I bought my Lambo, all of a sudden now I'm like hypersensitive and hyper aware to every other Lambo out there, right? I'm sure most people are, but like it was the exact same when I had my RAV4 in like Grandma Blue. I would see these Grandma Blue RAV4s all of the time. Whereas before I never saw them, right? Didn't notice it. That's because that was my filter for the world. So I perceived it differently. I started to see these things. I started to notice these things, right? They started to appear. Maybe they were always there, but I just started to notice them. And if we can make our goals and our dreams those Grandma Blue RAV4s, then it's going to completely change our lives. So back to the visualization exercise. So he'd visualize, hit a line drive down the middle, and then he would change the camera angle, right? Outfield, home plate, from his eyes, from the catcher's eyes, from wherever, right? And he would repeat this over and over for like a week or so. And then from there, his coach would be like, all right, now, where exactly did you hit the ball? Was it over the pitcher's head? Was it over his left ear? Was it over his right ear? Where exactly did the ball go? And Ed's like, shit, I don't know. Go back in it and visualize yourself hitting it over his left ear. All right, do that. Do that for a few days or a week or so. So just in his mind, again, he's not swinging any bat. In his mind, he's visualizing himself hitting a line drive right down the middle over the pitcher's ear, like on the one side. Let's call it the left ear. The camera might be reversed in this recording, I don't know, but this is my left ear. Anyways, doesn't matter. What matters is that he would do that over and over and over. And the reason it's so important to visualize and to do it over and over and over is because repetition solidifies that into our minds. It solidifies our beliefs. So if we keep believing that this visualization is actually reality, then eventually it will become reality. And the science behind that is, think about like a habit that you have. Think about like when you wake up in the morning, you probably do the same shit every single day. You probably have the same routine, the same habits, and your day probably looks very similar, right? We're creatures of habit, as they say. That's because in your mind, there's these neural pathways, right? There's electrons are firing, and there's neurotransmitters are like firing as well to make it easy on yourself. Our brains are like any type of engine. They try to be as efficient as possible, right? They try to not burn that much energy. So if they had to create these new pathways every single time you did something, it would burn a lot of energy. So what they do is it creates very specific pathways, and then it wants to streamline that. It's kind of like a highway, like an expressway, right? It's like you don't want to take all these little backcountry roads. You want to just like the expressway to where you're going. And so that's what our mind does. It starts as like a little back road, like it's dirt and stuff, but then the more you repeat it, it makes it better and better and better. And all of a sudden the speed limit starts going up, right? The quality of the road starts to become really smooth. All of a sudden, all the traffic starts to disappear. And now it's just you on the Autobahn in a Bugatti flying, right? The science behind this is that all of those neural pathways for our habits, every time you do a habit, every time you do something, it coats that pathway with this thing called myelin, which basically, here's the pathway, here's myelin. It coats it, and the more you do it, the more myelin it coats on there. So that's why it's really hard to break a habit, because it's so solidified in there. But that's also why it's so hard to create new habits, because there's not much myelin in there. So your brain's burning a lot of energy to do that thing, to run that pathway. But with repetition, that myelin gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So the more you visualize in your head, the more your brain coats it with myelin, because our brains can't differentiate between what hasn't happened yet and what has happened yet. Our brains cannot differentiate between what has not happened yet and what has. So you want to, so the more you do this, the more you're basically like brainwashing your mind to believe that this is true and reality for your life, for yourself, right? And so the stronger that myelin gets from more visualization, a more thorough and specific visualization, the stronger it's going to become, and the more realistic your visualizations are going to feel, and the faster you actually materialize your vision into reality and you manifest it, right? And all of a sudden everything starts coming all at once, and it's very fast. And that's why you see some people just like acquire so many things, and just like their life is just insane, because they've just gotten so good at this. And one thing that really like hit me was like, I'll make another video on this too, just about like what I've noticed from like the 9-figure entrepreneurs that I've met and all the things that they have in common. But at the end of the day, they're just masters of the basic fundamentals. That's really what it comes down to. But anyways, back to the visualization exercise. And as I'm explaining this, like I'm kind of hitting all my notes here too. So I want to make it as engaging as possible, because this will change your life if you let it. I promise you that. So pitches are coming through. He's hitting line drives right down the middle over the pitcher's left ear. Now his coach would be like, all right, now was the pitcher left-handed or right-handed? Ed's like, shit, I don't know, right? And go back in and see, was he left or right? He's like, all right, he was a righty, cool, all right. Now, like they'd do that over and over and over and be like, all right, now what kind of pitch was he throwing? Was it a fastball? Was it a slider? Was it a curveball? Ed, go back in, figure out which one he was throwing. Ed goes back in, he's like, all right, it's a curveball. He's like, all right, boom, hits it a bunch, right? Visualizing a bunch of curveballs coming through, hits them. And then the coach is like, all right, now, did you notice the pitcher's fingers, where they were positioned on the ball as he was releasing it? And I was like, no, go back in there and visualize the pitcher's fingers as he's throwing the ball, as he's releasing the ball from his hand. Okay, now go back in there. Was it, what was the rotation of the stitching of the ball as it was coming towards you? Now we're getting very specific, right? Visualize the pitcher's right hand throwing it exactly where his fingers are as he's throwing that curveball, and then seeing the stitches come through and the pattern of the ball and how it's moving across, like how it's moving towards you. And then did that a bunch. And then he's like, all right, now go back in there. And as that pitch is coming to you, visualize as you hit it, you make contact, as the bat makes contact with the ball, what happens is that the ball is coming this way, the rotation is this way, and then once the bat hits it, it reverses the rotation. Visualize the reversing of the rotation as your bat hits the ball. Incredible, like the depth and detail in which they're going was insane. And again, I thought I was good at visualization. I was not going into this detail, and this is only like half of it, right? We're not even there yet. But so he would do that a bunch. He would just visualize line drives from curveball right down the middle over the pitcher's left ear, bang, right? And from there, his coach would say, all right, now slow it down, put in slow-mo, manipulate the reality that you're seeing in your mind, right? We choose to believe that the world, that time goes by just as it is. Manipulate that. Choose to not color within the lines. So you'd slow it down. All right, now slowly see that pitcher throwing, right? Slowly see the ball coming. When you hit it, it changes the rotation. It slowly flies over the pitcher's head. Now, speed it up. Go in fast motion, right? Slow-mo to fast-mo, if that's a word. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You get the point. And then you say, all right, now zoom way out as if you're like thousands of feet above and you're watching this, or like you're in the top, like the nosebleed section in the bleachers, right? And watch it play out again, right? And then he's like, now make the picture black and white, no color. Now make it really colorful, make it super bright, really vivid. And then add audio to it, right? What sounds are you hearing while you're visualizing this, right? Add emotion to it. How are you feeling before, like as the pitcher's getting ready to throw, as he's throwing it, as the ball's coming, as you swing, as you hit it, after you hit it? What are the emotions you're feeling? How is your body reacting to it? What physiological symptoms are you seeing, right? And are you feeling? Really get in there, right? Because at the end of the day, like we're creatures of emotion as well. And so emotion is really what speeds up visualization because it makes it feel real. That's what tricks our mind into believing that it's real, because we're feeling the same emotions as if it was actually happening. And so you want to just have a disgusting amount of detail in your visualizations. And you said start with just one vision, right? Just a line drive right down the middle, and get really good at that before switching it up, before like visualizing home runs or like, I don't know, a pop, like, I don't know what, like hitting something out to the outfield or whatever, right? Or like to the left or the right. And get really good at the one thing and then do that. So like for me, it was like, there was a couple things that I used to do. It was like the Lambo. I would visualize that like crazy and I would feel that. It would be insane. Or like when I went back to Banff, to the hotel I used to work at 7 years ago, when I read Think and Grow Rich. It was the first business book I've ever read. And that set me on this path that I'm on right now. And I went back there last summer because 7 years ago I told myself, one day I'm coming back here, I'm gonna be on the other side. I'm gonna be the one being served, not the one serving anymore. And I made that happen. And it was insane. But in my vision board, I laid out every single step. I got pictures and screenshots of exactly what it was gonna be like when I roll up there. I'm gonna summit this huge mountain, Mount Rundle, and then I'm gonna come back down, check in. I visualize myself in my car rolling up to the front of the hotel, valeting the whip, getting the bag sent up to the room, walking through the lobby, up the stairs, up the elevator, right? And like visualize like the view I had from my hotel room, and then going to the steakhouse, having a big Wagyu steak with some champagne, and then having some hors d'oeuvres in the lounge I used to work at, and then waking up the next morning, hitting the gym, going to the hot tub, the pool, reading Think and Grow Rich, going golfing. Like it was, I played that mental movie in my mind so many times. As I was experiencing it, as I actually did it, it felt like deja vu. It was scary. In the best way possible though. So basically, at the end of the day, what I have down here is our minds work to prove our beliefs true. So we literally see, hear, and experience the things that we want to. And the more often you do this through repetition and specificity, so the more you do it and the more specific you do it, you're basically planting enough seeds. If you plant enough seeds, you will eventually get a harvest. That's natural law, right? So you want to free your mind to visualize, to dream bigger. Start with one thing, and then from there, when you get really good at it, you kind of develop the muscle and the skill of visualization, then you can start to do other things. So that's my first point. We're 25 minutes in, and that's point one, but I'm gonna keep going. So I might kind of rapid fire some things, and I'll probably expand and elaborate on a few other ones as well that are kind of a little bit deeper. But one thing you said is anything you want in life requires your total obsession. A lot of people are dabblers. They're dipping their toes in the water. They're getting their feet wet a little bit. They're sitting on the fence, and they're not obsessed. They claim that they want things so badly, but then they don't actually do the things that will get them there. They're not obsessed. They're gonna get absolutely ripped apart from those who are obsessed. The most successful people I know are absolutely obsessed. They obsess over the thing that they're doing right now. They obsess over becoming the best. They obsess over getting the things that they want in life, meeting the people that they want to meet, building the relationships that they want to build, feeling the emotions that they want to feel. They're obsessed. So you have to obsess over what it is that you want. You will only get from life what you will tolerate. You need to stop allowing lower standard things to happen to you. You have to be the one to change it. Nobody else is. Nobody else is going to come save you. I learned this lesson the hard way. A few years ago, I was in my parents' basement. I graduated college, got a business degree. Then I moved out to a mountain town, kind of just work at a hotel and, I don't know, escape reality and not get like a corporate bank job or something like that, like all my friends were. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to move to Whistler again and figure it out. And so I moved there with my girlfriend at the time. And then we both moved home at the end of the summer because I was like, either we commit to staying the full winter season there or move home. And I was like, well, I got to move home. I got to take action. I got to start doing something. But I didn't, right? I didn't really have a reason. I was comfortable. I got comfortable living at home. Didn't have any bills to pay. I was chilling. And then that was in 2019. And then guess what happened in the spring of 2020? I'm in Canada. Like you can probably see it snowing right now. This is normally gorgeous behind me, mountains and lake and shit. But anyways, within the span of a month, keep in mind, I had no job, no money, so no income, and no idea what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And within the span of a month, COVID hit and lockdowns hit, so I couldn't even leave my house, really. It was ridiculous here. Don't get me started, but lockdowns hit, my dog died, and my girlfriend broke up with me. And so I'm sitting in my parents' basement with no money, no income, and no direction or clarity at all. And I looked myself in the mirror one day. I said, Jeremy, nobody's coming to save you. You have to be the one to change this. You have to be the one to pull yourself out of this pit that you found yourself in. And so I went dark. Shut my phone off, put it in a drawer for like 6 months. Literally just turned it off for like 6 months. I started 75 Hard, started reading a book a week, and I started putting all the money I didn't have on credit cards to buy courses and programs, and then eventually pull myself out of there. But I was tolerating low standards because before that I wasn't really taking that serious of action. I was playing lots of video games, kind of dicking around, and not doing what I knew I needed to do. And so you have to be the one to change your circumstances. Nobody else is going to do it for you. The longer you wait, the longer you're going to feel miserable and resentful. And I don't want that for you. Another thing Ed said, Ed said, if you've never learned to be happy where you're at right now, you'll remain unhappy wherever you go. And this is so true because you see a lot of like rich people that are miserable because they never did the inner work, right? They just tried to mask how they feel about themselves, their identity, their confidence, their self-worth with external things, with the cars, with the houses and all of that. But one of Ed's quotes, I've heard this on podcasts with him before, he's like, you have to bring you with you. So you have to bring you with you to the mansion, to the jet, to the supercars. And if you don't like you, then you're in trouble. You're gonna be unhappy, resentful, and miserable for the rest of your life until you fix that. And so that was really cool. You wanna be the best version of you more often than not. Vibrate at the highest state, at the peak state, more often than you're not. So a lot of people have an energy problem, and I've struggled with this myself a lot, where like you kind of just let negative emotions affect you, and you let them wear you down and all that stuff, right? Especially as like the more you grow, the harder your life becomes, the more difficult the tests and the challenges become as well. And so it's important you snap out of that. So he shares some pretty in-depth things about that, like stuff you learned from coaching Manny Pacquiao and A-Rod and stuff like that. But basically you want to identify what gets you into that peak state, or when you're at peak state, you want to capture that. So one thing that he does is like he snaps his fingers. So when you close a sale, snap your fingers, and you're feeling that ecstasy, you're feeling that high, you're feeling in peak state, like you just run through a brick wall and take over the world, right? After like a hard workout, you feel the exact same. After you do like really difficult things or like very fulfilling and rewarding things, like you want to capture that. And like a physical, like he said, a physical thing, like snapping your fingers is like, that's how you lock in that feeling into your physiology. So when you're feeling negative emotions, if you just do that, you snap yourself out of those negative emotions, you put yourself back into that peak state. Now it's not going to happen first try. It's like years of reps every single day to get into that. And yeah, so that was really cool. One of his friends came over, his neighbors and his friends, John Gordon. He's an author and really awesome guy. I had a really good chat with him. But he talked and he shared this thing called the one word. Basically, like you want to choose one word to represent the year ahead. I've kind of done this before, but with like 3 words. That was just what I was taught from Sam Ovens in the mindset course, or the mindset training, the vision board. But one word to represent your year ahead on how like you can get better. So the one that came to me, I wrote down like 20 of them, or like 10 or 20 of them or whatever, but the one that kept sticking was growth. And I want to truly grow into the man that I must become to achieve my goals and dreams. Now this is evergreen, ongoing process, never ends. But I want to, lately I've kind of been feeling like I hit a bit of a plateau, which is kind of ridiculous because the last 2 months we've hit back-to-back record months, which is kind of funny. I'm still feeling that way. But it just goes to show, it's like, it's not about the money. After a certain point, it's not about the money. It's about the fulfillment and like the growth and feeling like you're getting better, you're improving, and you're evolving, you're transcending the current version of yourself. Growth through challenging conversations, growth of my vision. Very candidly, I almost don't want to share this, but I will because I care about you and I know that I'm not the only one that struggles with this. But over the last year or so, I feel like I kind of like achieved my vision. So like on the vision board, it's like, I have to update all this because up here is like, this one will stay. This is like my dream house, which my goal is by the time I'm 30, I just turned 27 like last week. But so 3 years out, I'm gonna start building my dream home. It's gonna be insane. And then, but over here, it's like a lot of this stuff has come true. I've met a lot of these people. I've got the car. I've got like the body. I've got all the other stuff. You probably can't really see in too much detail. But I kind of felt like I did it. I made it. I hit my vision, right? And the most depressed, unhappy, unfulfilled, resentful, bitter, miserable people out there are the ones that don't have a vision. They don't know what they want, right? Maybe they've gotten to where they're at and that's it. And so I was starting to feel some of those emotions. And I was like, dude, I was trying to figure out why. I'm like, dude, like you stopped dreaming. Like you stopped, like you got really good at visualizing and like manifesting these things. So you did it, but then like you didn't keep going forward. You didn't manifest, or you didn't cast that vision even further out, which is absolutely critical. And so that was a big one as well. Especially Ed was talking, like he was just like saying about how he just bought an island in Maine. He's putting like a 9-hole golf course on it. There's like stables and horses, a saloon, like insane. He's putting like 200 or 300 mil into it, he said. All cash. See, he doesn't finance anything. That's cool. And so I was like, damn, if he can do that, get a jet, multiple homes all over the place, I'm like, I'm not dreaming big enough. And so that was a really, really good wake-up call. So he gave us an exercise to do about that actually too, which is cool. But yeah, growth of my vision, growth of my habits, my routines, my actions. So the things that I do, the vices that I choose to hold or to let go of. Because a lot of the time it's not about adding more stuff to your plate, it's about removing the stuff that no longer serves you. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. But to cap that point off, he said, it's time to become addicted to the expansion of your being. Be addicted to the expansion of your being and who you are, who you're becoming. Whew. Powerful. I kind of already talked about this. Your mind can't determine the difference between something that hasn't actually happened and has not happened yet. So what you want to do, kind of create like a highlight reel. And I've done this in my vision board. I learned this from Sam Ovens, where you create like, you take snapshots of like these things that your accomplishments and like previous chapters of your story. And then from there, you weave in things that have not happened yet that are part of your vision. So you have a few things that you've done, immediately followed up with a few things you haven't done yet. But because the things you haven't done yet are intertwined with the things you have done, your mind can't tell the difference. You're kind of like tricking your brain into believing that like, oh, these things that haven't happened yet have actually happened. So it doesn't actually seem so far out of reach, and it seems a lot more attainable than you might think it is. And so that was really, really cool. That was good, like reassurance and whatnot, that I just need to keep doing more of that. Visualize with gratitude for the things that have not happened yet, because they will. It's inevitable. As long as you get the clear vision and then you show up every day and become who you need to be to achieve that. This is cool too. Another point, don't attach your confidence to your ability or your results. Attach it to your intention. As long as you know deep down to your core that you will do your absolute best, you will give it your all, you will leave everything out there. That's all the confidence that you need. A lot of times we outsource our confidence, and especially like if we're trying something new. This is why imposter syndrome is so like lethal, because if we haven't done anything yet, we don't have the results or maybe like the abilities yet to deliver incredible results. But if we have the intention to do whatever it takes to get that, that's all that matters. So like when I first started out in business, I started an advertising agency for mortgage brokers, and I didn't have any case studies really, and I wasn't the best in the world at it, but I knew my intention was whatever amount of money these people pay me, I will deliver everything I can. I will do whatever I can to over deliver and to get them results. Even if I have to work for free for as long as it takes, I will, no matter what. I feel morally indebted and obligated to serving these people, because I need those case studies, because the more competent I become, the more confident I can also become. And that all starts with your intention. So if your intention is to be the best in the world, to over deliver and provide an absolute world-class experience, then that's all that matters, especially at the start. Another thing that was really cool too was avoid unresourceful physiology. Stop saying things like, oh, I'm trying to do this, or like even slouching or sighing or whatever. It's not serving you, and it's actually hindering you, because the second you say, oh, yeah, I'll try to do that, you've already lost. And he played a scene from The Matrix where Neo and Morpheus were in the dojo. It's the dojo scene. And Neo's like kind of brand new to this, and Morpheus is like the teacher, the sensei, basically. And he's like, all right, hit me, Neo. And Neo, like, he's like trying to hit him and stuff, but he's not, right? And then Morpheus is like, Neo, don't try to hit me, hit me. And then all of a sudden Neo picked it up. And so a lot of people are trying to hit him. They're trying to hit me, but they're not hitting me. And there's a big difference between the two. So you have to really embody that. You have to stop using unresourceful language, thoughts, beliefs, physiology. It's the way you carry yourself and you present yourself physically. And that'll set you up really, really well. All right, we're getting to the end here. Bear with me. And this is just like 1.5 pages of notes that I took, kind of just freeballing. But I've got like 20 pages of notes in another book, but these are some of the highlights. So I'm sure I'll be making a bunch more videos like this. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Got more bangers on the way. But yeah, another thing that was really cool too is, I know for me specifically, like I have the tendency to like kind of be like Mr. Nice Guy, and like it doesn't serve you very well. So one thing that he says, the world already has too many cheerleaders. Especially as a coach, you need to be truthful with people and give them the feedback that they need. So you have to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And this goes for every relationship, not just like your coaching clients, because people respect those that tell the truth. And especially if you tell in a way that serves them and is from a place of love, not like negative criticism. And it's like, it's so true, because I can't remember exactly, I think there's like a diagram out there. I've seen it before. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically it's like, it talks about like the frequencies, and like the highest peak of the pyramid, the very top is truth. So when you're operating from a place of truth, you're vibrating at the highest frequency, and the higher your frequency, the faster and the more things you attract into your life. And so that's what he meant by peak state as well earlier in the video when I was talking about that. So when you're operating in peak state, that means you're operating at a high frequency, you're just vibrating, you feel like you can just like take over the world. That's when you're operating from your place of truth. So you're being truthful to yourself, and you're having integrity to the things that you say to yourself that you're going to do, but also having integrity to others and telling them exactly what they need to hear and not holding back, right? There's too many cheerleaders. You don't need to be one of them. People are a gift. We just don't open them. Pour love into them. One of Ed's favorite lines is, look for Christ in them. He's writing a book right now called Let Me Tell You About You. And basically, like, if you want to have incredible relationships, guys, like all you got to do is just like compliment people and look for like Christ in them, look for love and the truth in them, and not just like, oh, hey, I really like your hair, like surface level compliment, go deep. And so one thing that he said was like, you want to like give compliments to people that are so like out of the box, like outside of the box, but things that they intuitively know are true about themselves, but maybe they haven't put it into words yet, or they haven't heard anybody else tell them that. So for example, like Ed told a story about when he was in Hawaii and he was like broke and he was on a run listening to like a Walkman, and he was passing another guy and he recognized him. It was Ed Dwyer, and he's like, oh my God, Ed, you changed my life. And Ed was like, no, I didn't, but how have I helped you change your life? Right? And then they started talking, and basically Ed was, or Wayne Dwyer. Yeah, Wayne. I think I might have said Ed. I don't know. We're talking about Ed. So anyways, but Wayne Dwyer, that's who it is. And Wayne was like, basically told Ed, you're gonna change the world because of who you are and like the servant heart that you have. And Ed knew that was true about himself. He didn't have the results, the abilities yet. He didn't have the proof, right? There's no evidence that he was going to change the world yet. But what he did have was a pure heart with pure intentions that he wanted to do good and leave an impact in the world. Wayne could see that in Ed, and Ed intuitively knew that about himself too. And so it's those kind of compliments that stick with people, and it's those kind of compliments that truly bring out the best in people as well. And when you come from that place, you're operating at truth, and you're operating at the highest frequency. And lastly, gotta wrap things up here. You gotta do it for you, for everybody that loves you, cares about you. And there's a lot of people depending on you to be better. A lot of the times it's easy to be selfish and to not actually keep growing and improving ourselves and pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones. But if you're watching this video, it tells me one thing about you. It tells me everything I need to know about who you are. You want to get better. You don't want to be complacent. You don't want to stay comfortable. You don't want to settle for the life you have right now. You have a big vision, you have big dreams, big goals. So do I. You're one of my people. And there's a lot of people out there that are depending on you to achieve your vision. People with dreams need leaders with vision. And you have to wake up every single day fired up and motivated. Not even motivated, just fired up and compelled to get better. Because it's not about you anymore. Especially once you hit a certain point, like 20, 30K a month, like you can basically do whatever you want. Like you've got the freedom. After that, when you 10x that, it's not what it's about anymore. Right? You kind of just like get numb to it. And that's where you gotta really go deep inside. A lot of people like to kind of like coast. I did this too. When I hit like first like few 200K months, I was like, fuck, I did it. I was only aiming for 100. I doubled it. I'm like, I'm the man. I made it. And I stopped reading, stopped visualizing, stopped doing the things that got me there. I got comfortable. Don't do that. Don't make the same mistake as me, because my goal for you watching my videos is to help you learn from my mistakes and my path and not do the things that have slowed me down and have caused some frustration. Let's call it that. So do it for you. Everybody loves you and everybody is counting on you. And there's a lot of people out there depending on you to be better. So be better, get after it, and master the fundamentals. I was at the gym this morning with a friend and we were talking about this. He was asking me, dude, how was the trip? I was like, man, all of the heavy hitters, all the big dogs I know, they're masters of the fundamentals. They wake up every single day, they work out every day. Obviously they wake up, hopefully. But they work out every day, they read every single day, they visualize every single day, and they do that consistently for a long period of time. So don't overcomplicate it. Get rid of the shit that no longer serves you. Start doing the things that do serve you and do them consistently every single day. Coat those pathways with myelin so it sticks into a habit, becomes easy, and then your brain doesn't have to burn a lot of energy, becomes very efficient, and then it just does it. That's how you're gonna make a big impact in the world. That's how you're gonna make a shit ton of money and build a very, very fulfilling life. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Love you lots. I'll see you next video. Bye.